What's up, guys? It's Jake here from Chief Live Gaming. Today I want to show you guys my new modular gaming table that I purchased from a friend locally. I am just, oh guys, I'm so excited to show this to you. I wanted one of these tables since I was a kid. To finally own one is sort of like a dream. It's pretty awesome. So the guy I bought this from just he's having a baby. Congratulations. So he doesn't have time to finish this, to use it. It's been sitting around for a while, and I had sort of mentioned to him a while back that if he ever wanted to sell it, to let me know, and he did, so I picked it up. Very, very cool. Thank you, Michael, if you're watching this video. So the table is pretty much done, right? As we're looking at it, it is built, and it's got its base paint layers sort of done. Some of the tiles have been dry brushed, some have not. So I could, we could play on this, no problem. It looks great. But for me, I think what I want to do is bring it up. I have a few things I need to adjust on it, and then I want to flock it. I want to add some other bits and bobs, some detail work, and really just make it sort of a display piece board. So I'm going to cover all those steps in this little video series for you guys. I want to show you all of the things I'm doing, document all of them, and hopefully if you guys are looking to build your own table or just are kind of intimidated by it, that maybe you can get some insight from my little series here to help you moving forward. So what I want to do is unplug the camera there. I want to take a quick walk around this table to give you guys an idea of the actual layout of the tiles, which I think is one of the hardest things, at least for me. I always thought that I would build one of these myself, and for about 2 years I was stuck in the sort of blueprint conceptual phase of trying to decide on a layout, and I just could never get it right. I was never satisfied. So having this done takes away that sort of step for me, which is really nice. It's done, it's the way it is. Whether or not it's exactly how I would have done it or whatever, it's done. I don't have to worry about it. So from here, all the groundwork is laid and we can move forward. So I think if I could make some general comments, it's very important to have, like you can see this tile. Let me take this guy off here, and this guy. This tile is very basic. It's just the corner connector piece, which kind of matches up in length to the other edges, and then it's got a nice flat, a large flat area. Similarly, this tile, it does have the crater, but a large flat area. Very important to have at least 2 tiles with really big flat ground level surface. As we get through this video, I'm going to show you guys a few different layouts, and I want you to take a look at the flat levels, because it's very important to have that sort of good footprint of playable area, or your board is just going to be kind of a bunch of annoying measurements and movement for the playability side of things. Again, a good amount of ground level here. There's not a lot of wasted space. There's nice clean edges to get to new levels. You can place a squad of infantry here as they move up this craggy outpost sort of outcropping area. Again, here, nice large areas. So don't try to keep playability in mind as well as the looks. If you can kind of find a balance between style and playability, I think that's the winner. So that's just kind of my original, or my opening statement on how to sort of lay these tiles out. Again, I'm a terrible person to ask how to lay out your tiles, because in 2 years I couldn't figure it out by myself. So maybe online there are good layouts that you can just copy. You could copy this table, whatever you want. I came really close to just doing somebody else's layout myself, so no harm there. Okay, so what I want to do now, guys, is talk to you guys about sort of the things I want to do to this table, my plans moving forward, and what I want to do to it. So I'll be back to you guys in just a second, and we'll take a look. Right, guys, so I switched the layout. As you can see, I wanted to show you a different sort of setup on this table as we talk here. I really like this layout, actually. Again, I want to stress the importance of these kind of tiles with the really big flat areas that I mentioned. just a few minutes ago. We're able to put one in the middle there and then one on the outside here to cut a nice valley through the middle of the board that kind of sweeps over. And then we've got the high ground over in a couple different areas on this sort of layout. We can fit a ton of ruined buildings, very large pieces of terrain on this board still. Because remember, this is more of a supplement to your game. This is not going to be all of the terrain that we're playing with, most of the time at least, unless we're doing something crazy. We're going to have buildings, we're going to have an outpost built into here somehow. So you want to have space to play with, just for the longevity of this, the use of this board. You don't want to be bottlenecked into the same few layouts every time. So again, if you're building one of these, I would really consider that, and I would really recommend some big flat stuff. As tempting as it might be to make these awesome rock faces everywhere. So, thoughts, things I want to do to this board. I think it was a little more obvious in the last setup, but we can still see in this layout the main thing I want to address, which are the gaps between the pieces as we move up to the raised surface. So the gaps and cracks on the ground level are great, but as you add foam and move up, things kind of start to go out a little, just ever so slightly. It creates those bigger gaps where the pieces join. It's going to be impossible to get rid of that, but I would like to sort of minimize that wherever possible. So I think the way to get around that is going to be to take some lightweight spackle and just rebuild very slowly, kind of build up on the edges of the corners, so that, I mean, we're adding maybe a couple mil to each one, so that when we place them on the table, they will match up a little more snugly and not have these big cracks. That's my idea, because that drives me nuts. Again, when it's painted, it's not going to be that big of a deal, just because you're seeing the pink right now is what drives you crazy. But still, we're going to try to minimize that just a little bit more. So I'm going to do that. One thing I have an idea for, this is a piece of of a display board that I have, and what I really like is this sort of divot here that is meant to kind of receive water effect. So my idea is to carve out a lot of these sort of little different puddle shapes and little sort of divots in the ground. Not quite as deep as this, because you want to be able to set models on them and not have them get tippy. So not quite this deep, maybe half as deep. And then when you add the water effect up, you know, it'll be easy to set stuff on it. But I want to carve those in to different areas. I mean, probably 3 or 4 per tile, maybe something like that, and just kind of spruce up the board a little bit. I don't want to go too crazy, but I really think it'll add a really cool little bit of flair to the board. So we're going to do that. The edging of the cliff faces here, I very much like what he's done here, but I think it would look even better if we added some smaller rocks and sand to it to make it even more realistic. So I'm going to do that, see how it looks. It might be too much, we'll have to see. That's kind of going to be an experiment. We're going to take a look at that. From there we have, as we walk over to this side, these 2 little things from Citadel here, the barbed bracken and skulls boxes. So I have the bracken out here. It's just sprues of stuff to put on your bases or terrain or whatever. And I've had these sitting around for quite a while now that I've been meaning to use on some kind of terrain project. I just think they're really cool. So we're gonna try to use them on this. I don't know about the barbed bracken. I may not use that, but for sure some skulls are gonna make their way onto this table. Just again, to spruce things up, bury some in the sand, kind of along the edges here. You know, I don't want to overdo the skulls. Maybe 2 or 3 per tile, just here and there, to add a little bit more, you know, as your players are walking around looking at this thing. go, oh, that's cool, I never saw that before. You know, every time they play on it or whatever, they notice something different. I want that level of detail here to be really kind of a neat and narrative sort of experience on the table. So we're going to add those. From there, it's going to need to be repainted, since I'm going to be adding so much, doing some more carving, doing some more flocking of grit and gravel. I'm thinking of doing a similar paint job to this, but a little more brown. So I like this brown and gray contrast that this board has right now. It's very striking, it's very good. I lost it on this board, so like the color of the top level is brown, but it's a little too similar to the cliff faces. I think it looks really good though. I don't know, we'll have to play with it, but I'm going to paint it with a very aggressive dry brush like I did here, a very bright and exciting dry brush to really pick out these exciting edges that have been done in the carving and the sculpting, and really pick out this grit and gravel that's been added all over this board. You can kind of see the effect on here, but it's going to be even more pronounced since I'm going to be using a brighter dry brush. I think it should look pretty cool. If we mess it up, guys, we can always repaint it, so you know, no worries there. We're going to play around and see what we can get to look good. Once it's painted, of course, one of the biggest concerns is sealing this. When you have a surface like this that you're going to be placing models and tanks and dragging resin, heavy resin across, I mean, I'm just cringing already to think about all the damage that could happen very easily, and of course not necessarily on purpose, just from use. So we're going to seal everything like a lot. I'm going to probably go with the old PVA and water mix and just coat like 3 or 4 different layers and just see how that goes. I don't think I'm going to spray any varnish because I don't want to risk eating the foam. I mean, if I'm putting layers and layers of paint on this, it should be totally fine, but I do think that the PVA and water does a better job anyway, so we'll probably just do that. We're going to seal everything up nice and tight, and hopefully we won't have to worry about damage occurring unless we're doing something real crazy on this board. So what else can we talk about? Oh, we have these little chunks. He did include some of these that he had started working on. Now these are just meant to scatter around the board and kind of have the same styling to add to your board. Now, I don't know how I feel about these. So the problem I have is the edging doesn't have the rubble. And again, I'm going to put a bunch more stuff on this to make it look a little bit more varying sizes of rock, basically. And then when you see this, it just kind of doesn't fit. It doesn't blend in very well, which is fine because they're meant to be scatter pieces, right? They're not meant to be fixed. But I don't think they bring that much to the table. God damn it. I don't think they bring that much to the table. That's a pun, an accidental pun. When you think about their actual impact on the plane surface, unless you have something really tall like this that can actually block line of sight, putting it in the middle of the board, you know, putting down a single piece like this isn't really that impactful unless it's tall to block line of sight. So I don't want to put that much work into those if they're just going to kind of be chilling there. I don't know if that made any sense. I was kind of rambly there. I'm losing it, guys. I have so many ideas. It's getting late. I'm pumped and I don't know where to start. I think I've got a plan, but we need to start executing the plan. So my whole point of that little ramble was we're not going to worry about the rock outcrops yet. I think with the other terrain I have, the buildings, the ruins, and the other sort of scatter bits I have, I'm not going to need these. I'm not going to need to carve more to match. This is going to be sufficient. So let's play around with a few more layouts. What I'm going to do is mess around a bit. I'll come back to you guys and show you one more, and then I'll end the video with some closing thoughts. I'll see you guys in a second. And we're back. So this is another layout that I really like. You can't really make a layout that I don't like. I'm really pleased with how this is coming together. So what I did was essentially I split Pangea in half and shoved it to either side to make a canyon or a valley through the middle of the board. And this is nice because it's very balanced. It's very, like if you wanted to play a little more competitive of a game where you're concerned about not favoring one player's deployment zone too much over another, this is a good fallback layout, I think, to go with. We've got some high ground on each edge, a kill zone in the middle, still some good potential for a building, maybe, you know, a pretty large building actually could still fit here, no problem, and allow maneuvers to occur with things like rhinos, APCs, troop transports to be able to move through the valley still. We've got a very large area again over there for some good stuff. Large area here, and even large enough spots to put maybe an Imperial Bastion up on this hill very easily and still be able to maneuver around it. So good stuff as far as the possibilities with a layout like this. So one last thing I want to talk about, guys, before we close out is storage. That is a very important concern when you're talking about a modular tile board like this, because what might be hard to realize at first is how tall these things are. Each tile is about 7 inches tall, including the like bottom, which is plywood. Oh, I'm sorry, 5 inches, not 7, because these must be 2-inch layers of foam, not 3. So it's about 5 inches, something like that. So when you get all these tiles off the table and need to put them somewhere, there's a lot of space that's taken up, right? So if you're looking to do something like this, I would highly recommend coming up with a good storage solution before you even start, because that's not what I did, and it's kind of a problem. So, you know, handling these things and putting them away is one of the easiest ways to damage them. So you want to be able to keep them in a nice place where they're not going to rub together, where they're not going to hit stuff, where you can be able to get in and out of it easily, that space to get your tiles and put them on the table. Something to consider. So what I've come up with, I keep my board games underneath my table here. I made a shelf. I don't really want to make another shelf because I have a rabbit that likes to hide under this table, and this shelf I can still get under there and get him when he likes to play and play keep away. But if I put another shelf under there, I'm never going to be able to get him. He's just going to be under there all the time. So I cleared it out, and I set some tiles in here, and I can fit 3 across really nicely, and then if I put another shelf about halfway up, I can fit the other 3 on top of that, and there's enough height. There's a perfect amount of height with a little extra, and then there's a perfect amount of width with a little extra. So I got really lucky with that, being able to store them right there. So there's not, I don't need to walk down a hallway or up some stairs and drop them because I'm super clumsy. So that's a plus for me there, literally under the table right there at all times. So a lot of information, a lot of rambling, guys. I hope that you got something from this video. I'm just really excited, and I really like these project log style kind of things. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section. If you have any ideas for me, any thoughts, any comments. As we're in this early stage, I'm taking this slow. We're not going to go crazy and get this all done in a couple weeks. This is going to be a project that I work on in between my commission work bids. If I have like a project I bid 2 weeks on and finish a couple days early, then I'll spend a couple days on this table here and there, that kind of thing. So I'm going to have time to review your suggestions, your comments, your ideas, and kind of go from there. So I will, of course, make more videos for you guys as soon as anything major gets done, or a sufficient amount of time has passed, or I have another major thought about this table. I'll definitely update you guys with another video in this series. So stay tuned, subscribe if you're interested in seeing more, and I think once we're done, guys, it's going to look really, really cool. It already does, but I mean, man, this is a labor of love here, guys. It's going to be something to look at when it's all done, it's just going to be fantastic, I think. So hopefully we get it done sometime in the future. So thank you guys for tuning in. Check it out on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all those linked down in the description of this video if you want to check me out on that. Otherwise, of course, I'm here on YouTube. Feel free to subscribe. Expect some battle reports on this table. The battle reports have been lackluster lately. I haven't been doing much because I don't have a ton of time to play, and when I do get in time to play, it's not enough time to play and record a bat rep. So that's going to change here pretty soon. I'll be getting more time, so we can get back into the bat reps more regularly. So we'll have to come up with some cool things to do on this table for you guys. All right, we've rambled on long enough. One more time, thank you very much for tuning in. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Bye now.